Good, everyone. Alex Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. So with me is my buddy, my coach, pal, the man with a plan, the one and only. I take a layoff, man. We had a mini bye week too. The Jets played Thursday. We got our mini bye week. We didn't come out on Monday with the Jets pod. We didn't need to. We didn't say, hey, New York Knicks, we're going to come out with a Knicks pod on Monday. No, we're going to keep it to the same schedule. But we know who is here with me, as always. My man, the one and only, John Meleka. What's going on, bro? How you doing today?
What's up, man? What's up? Bludgeoned by another Knicks game in attendance in between there too. So it's really not all as great as you make it seem, but I'm good, man. The Jets are actually coming back. We might have Hall of Famer Mike White back at quarterback. Who knows? The Knicks are I'm pretty sure up to their best start in the last decade, and we're quote unquote not doing too great. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. Things are okay, man. Things are okay. I'm a little worried about Anthony Rizzo's back, but that's for a different story for a different day. Look at
we'll get some. I guess we can get some quick Jets takes too, because John, we are joined today by one of our good friends, man, right down the street, has his own Knicks podcast called Knicks State of Mind for ESNY. And if you know him from there, you probably also know him from KnicksFanTV.com as a fellow writer of mine. He also used to work with me over at Hoops Habit. Came over with Knicks Fan TV. We had to poach him from Hoops Habit, man. And then you also probably know him as the creator of the Couch Critic, founder, CEO, all of that good stuff. Our guy, Chip Murphy. Chip, how you doing? He's also a miserable Jets fan like us. So what up?
That was perfect introduction. I'm glad you added that last part, because that's the perfect way to describe me as a fan, miserable Jets fan. Thank you for having me back on, guys. I appreciate it.
It's been a minute, Chip, so we needed to have you back on, especially since we can just wallow in misery about the Jets and then have our excitement and glory about the New York Knicks, because the New York Knicks are the only team that's keeping our hopes alive at this point. You're also a Yankees fan too, so you fit right into the mold of this podcast. It's
you might also be worried about Anthony Rizzo's back.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
I am worried. I'm more worried about the fact that Brian Cashman is still running the Yankees, but I'm worried about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true.
It's bizarre. I'm more worried about the Yankees than the Knicks. I just can't get used to that.
I know. I was about to say Aaron Boone is probably the bigger question mark than Cashman, in my opinion, but we don't have to talk about that team. It's off season. I want to keep the Yankees in off season mode. We're in Knicks mode, Jets mode. We're in just hope at this point, if that's what you want to call it. But yeah, man, I guess before we get into it, we'll get you I want 2 sentences from you, Chip, on how do you feel about the New York Jets this season?
Oh God. In just 2 sentences?
2 sentences.
2 sentences. All right. The first sentence is obviously Mike White is awesome. That has to be part of it.
Mike White.
And the second sentence has to be, I don't know yet. And it's about the coaches, it's about the quarterback, and it's about, I think, pretty much everything else. Like, I really don't
I like that.
know what to make about this team besides, I think, based on what we've seen, I guess, since Wilson went down, I think LaFleur is a pretty good play caller, but I don't know what that says about Zach Wilson. So I just don't know yet about this team, and more specifically Wilson. I don't know yet, but I'm not giving up on him at all. So
I think we're in this. I won't speak for John. I'm in the same camp as you, John. Are you in the same camp as Chip?
I'm in the same. I'm a little bit more optimistic, I feel like, than the whole world, and it seems like maybe you guys at the moment. I think Zach Wilson's fine. I think, like you said, the coaches have clearly changed, right? And we could transition that right into the Knicks, because what hasn't changed. And that's Coach Tibbs, guys. Coach Tibbs refuses to change a single minute off his. I feel like he literally has a minutes watcher. He does not change a minute in his rotation. He's very stingy with it. He did add the whole new 3-pointer business, which we are literally just. I've never even. Do we think we're the Warriors? Because we're just not. But we're acting like the Warriors or the Houston Rockets.
Derrick Rose was 5 years, 6 years too early from when he made that statement. For all you that don't remember, it's when Derrick Rose said we were like we were like the Warriors or could compete with the Warriors. I forget what it is.
Yeah. That was when that we had the Knicks quote unquote super team, right?
Oh, the super
Yep.
team comment. Yeah.
Yeah, because we had Melo, Noah, D Rose, Courtney Lee. I don't know how Courtney Lee got thrown into the super team, and we had KP. So what a time. But we don't have to discuss that anymore. We could discuss what we saw from these past weeks from the New York Knicks, because that team was just empty. This team is full of life, I could say, that even though they
Full
are
of hope.
frustrating to watch, I think it's more than hope at this point. Like I have an expectation at least that they have to win, like not everything, but they have to win games. Like they're going to be a winning team this season. Like I have that expectation. So when I watched them play the 76ers last night, a G League team, I have the expectation that they're going to win.
Pew, 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 pew.
Hey, I don't care, man. We were in MSG South, all right, as other fans are calling it.
Hell
Screw Philly, fuck Philly. I don't care about them. I don't care about that. I don't care about that fan base.
Feisty today.
I don't care. Look, man, I'm still angry from when I went to go watch the Jets play the Eagles. I just don't care about them.
You can't be mad
anymore.
about that, man. We're fine. We might be breaking the, listen, man. We might be breaking the streak. Let's just call it how it is. The Knicks finally won in Philly. The Jets can't beat Philadelphia. Philly's coming into MetLife this year. I mean, this might be the year we break the curses, man.
I would hope so. But anyway, just keep staying true to the Knicks. Like, how'd you guys feel about this past week? I'm like, Bucks was an exciting win. Losing to the Cavs was a little disappointing. Beating the 76ers the way we did, it was good. Not too hyped about it, as some people are outside of the arena. We should have beaten that team. I don't necessarily need to. Look, I'm all for fans celebrating, but we beat it. We beat like a limited roster.
They were at the game. They were at the game.
Yeah,
they were excited.
Look, man,
yeah.
you're probably tipsy, drunk, whatever, and you're excited afterwards. I'm not against it, but I think everyone just wants to have that type of moment too, where they're recording. Like, it's one thing to be excited. I think everyone wants to have that recording to be like another side talk. That's where I'm like, all right, guys.
Yeah,
side
they
talk,
want to
side
have
talk
their Chris
something.
Persianen moment.
Yeah,
outside the arena.
But then they also who else? We had the Pacers that they lost to. It was a rough week, man. It was a rough week last week, in my opinion. But what did you guys think of it? Chip, since you're our guest, I'll start off with you.
I think the Cavs one was the rough one because it felt like they underestimated them. And they just kind of, it was a repeat of the Magic game, where they just completely slept on the Magic and thought they're going to steamroll them again like they did the first game. And I think they took the Cavs lightly. And I thought, like, okay, after that, what was encouraging was, and we just talked about this on my pod, with the Sixers game, I think they kind of came out and were sluggish in the first half again after the Cavs game. And Julius kind of took it upon himself to make sure that didn't happen, to make sure they didn't lose a game that they should have won for the second straight time. And I mean, if you can't beat the Sixers without Embiid, then you are not a playoff team, like at this juncture of the season. So that's a humiliating loss. That would have been a humiliating loss. I don't care if it's at home or away. That's a humiliating loss.
But listen, Chip, like, I mean, number one, as a better, and it was corroborated by Coach Tibbs, a seasoned veteran coach. When teams are missing superstar players, that team, and especially their bench unit, they come together and they play hard because they know they have to make up for something. And, the skills of the bench player, they're all NBA players. So once you have that extra motivation behind them, I mean, literally, that's what Coach Tibbs told them pregame. That's what Randle said. He's like, yo, we got to get ready for this team because they're missing players, and teams are better when they're missing players. So I'm actually encouraged by that win, and it was close at the end. I mean, we had to actually, play some winning basketball there at the end. What do you think, Alex?
Like I said, I'm happy that they beat the 76ers. I have the expectation at this point that they got to beat limited teams. I know it was I know it's the second game of a back-to-back, but when you still have, you gave Kemba the night off against the Cavs. So maybe you could say, hey, against the Cavs, we weren't at full strength because we needed Kemba's shooting. Maybe he would have been on that night. Sure, fine. Cavs are also a good team. Evan Mobley is legit. I like what I see from that kid. Dude is like,
you called that.
I like Evan Mobley a lot, man.
Yeah, he's good. He's honestly really good. He's everything that we all wish Channing Frye was.
Channing Frye.
It really is. No, it really is. It's like if Channing Frye was like really good coming out, that would be Evan Mobley, just like popping threes, getting those boards,
Dude,
fulfilling
he knows how
in.
to-
But
no, I'm just gonna say, like, he knows how to use his body on that spin move too. Like, he's
that's what I'm
putting his
saying, bro.
shoulder-
He's a beast.
Dude,
He can control the
and
ball.
like, and he has a thin frame, but he's moving guys like Mitch.
He's big.
and
He's
Noel
jacked.
out
He's
there.
not. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not skinny.
He's not
And also
skinny.
Jared
just
Allen
thin.
too. Jared Allen's
Oh,
a
yeah.
beast too.
Yeah,
He
Jared
looked
Allen's
he
good.
looked great against us, and I used to clown him too when he was on the Nets too, because Nets fans used to compare him to Mitchell Robinson. I was like, that's crazy, and he's really really good.
Dude, he's special. Jared Allen
Yeah.
is special. I mean, we all knew that coming into the game, and I mean, I was fortunate enough to see Monica McNutt while I was just crossing the street going into the game. So I was like, "Oh, Monica!" And I was so casual, called her. I don't know what am I supposed to call her, Miss McNutt? Like I don't know. So I was just like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, Monica."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh," turned around, like, "Who the hell's calling me Monica?" And ended up being me. I was like, "Oh, so like, what do you think?" I was like, "What do you think about this game?" I just like went right into it, and I was like, "I'm first of all, the Cavs are hot, and we all know about Jared Allen, but." How about the guards? Like the guards is what I was scared of. Like unfortunately for the Cavs, right? Sexton tore his meniscus in the
that
first
sucks.
quarter.
Yeah.
So he came out, but it was still the guards that were the issue. Dude, it's been pretty consistent now. Like the starting from I mean, your Magic, right? You brought them up. You want to start from Cole Anthony down to
Cole hurt him, yeah.
down to the Raptors, like where it was the Wings, down to the Pacers, where they just rained threes on us, and it was perimeter, killing us, down to like the guards at the Cavs, and that's how we almost lost to the Sixers. Didn't matter that
And Miles Turner too, man. Miles
Yeah,
Turner.
that's what I'm saying.
Miles
Miles Turner
Turner.
raining threes. Like he wasn't even like I don't know. It's been pretty consistent problem, and that's what's scaring me at the moment. We need a perimeter defender. And the inside presence isn't really there. I know we have Mitch, and I know that looks nice on paper, and Mitch is good when he's in. But Noel is continually hurt. I love when Taj Gibson is there, but again, like Tibbs is pretty stingy with these minutes. Noel hasn't really been effective, and can we say he's injury prone? Every single game I've been to so far that Noel is on this team, he gets hurt at some point during this game, and he's wrapped up like a straight up mummy. After they're stretching him, he's with the ball, he has ice every single game. Like at what point? And he misses games. Like at what point are we just going to be like, yo, just take a week off? Or are we going to be like, yo, we don't know if this guy's a long term? I know it's 3 years. 3 years is pretty long term. That's our like, I don't know, our quote unquote, could we say second round window, like Eastern Conference window? That's within the next 3 years. Like, can we trust Noel?
Well, the thing is, like, Noel's on that 2+1 really, because it's 2 years. The last year's a team option, but he had a really good outing against the Bucks. Like he was able to put Giannis not completely in his pace, but in his place. But he had Giannis on lock for a good portion of that game. Cavs, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, those guys we're talking about two highly talented big men right there. And then when you talk about playing against the 76ers, Andre Drummond, like he came in with sore back. Centers with sore backs, man, and sore knees. I just don't trust it. But he's down again. He is injury prone. He has that type of history. You hope that he can play. You just know what you're getting out of him. You just hope you can get like over 60 games with him, because that would be a good season for him. And same thing with Mitch at this point. Mitch has a hip issue that was showing, especially the second half against the Cavs. Now we got to rely on Taj Gibson. I know Noel and Mitch are both questionable for tomorrow. But to get to your point about, rim protection, perimeter protection, I think it's more so perimeter protection than it is the paint protection, because guys are not necessarily running out to cover the three as they were last season. And sure, we could say guys are getting their legs back under them. It's the beginning of the season, all these other things. I buy that, but defense is also effort too. And it's kind of, so I kind of say it's somewhere in the mix between where these guys are trying to get the conditioning back up for NBA games, but there also has to be that effort that they have to go out and contest those threes. And I think, especially against Turner, like when you have a big that pulls out Mitch, you don't get rim protection when your center's being pulled out. But I think our rim protection is actually pretty decent. Wouldn't say it's great. I think it's decent. The issue that we keep failing is that we have to have guys run out to the three after we've just been berated towards the end. So that just opens up the paint for everybody to come attack. That's how I look at it for like the Chicago Bulls. Like they were raining threes on us, and then we were allowing backdoor cuts like there was no tomorrow. I don't know. What do you think, Chip?
Yeah, I think the defense is definitely an issue right now, but I think when you add a completely new backcourt, with Kemba and Fournier coming in, there was bound to be issues at the beginning, at least. I didn't think it would be this glaring to start. Like I think they're still in the bottom 5 in defensive rating right now. And they're allowing more 3-pointers than any other team in the NBA. And I know that's what everyone said. Like they allowed a bunch of open threes last year, but they weren't going in. And now those threes are going in and the closeouts aren't as hard. And we're seeing some of that with guys like, Fournier's closeouts aren't as hard, I guess. And Kemba's closeouts might not be as hard. And those guys aren't known for their defense. But look, they are upgrades. That's why we brought them in. And the defense, I think, is going to work itself out. Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. It's growing pains. These guys just got there. They're pros. I mean, that's the thing. Maybe Tibbs has to make some changes in the rotation. Maybe he has to insert someone like Quentin Grimes, like we saw him do in the Philly game. Maybe he needs to get in there and play some more.
And the Cavs.
Yeah, and the Cavs game too. And look, I mean, if Kemba has had some pretty off nights where Tibbs has already shown that he's going to play Derrick Rose the entire fourth quarter and not play Kemba at all. And he's done the same thing with Fournier. So who knows how this is going to go. And Quickly has also outplayed Kemba sometimes. So I think that the defense is going to be fine. And I think that if Kemba continues to struggle on defense, and Fournier actually, I think, has played better defense than people are saying he has. And I know I'm completely biased towards Fournier, but I think he's played better defense than people are giving him credit for. I think that both those guys are going to have a long leash for now because of their offensive skills and reputation, but they need to start making shots because right now they don't have as much value if they're not making the three. And since Fournier had that big opening game, he hasn't been great yet. And he was good in the Philly game, but that was really his first great game since the opener. And I think Kemba and Fournier, they were brought in for their offense, and that was the whole rationale was, well, how good they are offensively is going to offset the decline defensively. And, Fournier had the one big game, and now he's been kind of off and on, and Kemba really hasn't been Kemba yet. Yeah, we're kind of waiting for that. And D Rose has outplayed him. So I guess what we need to do is just we need to hope it's just early, and that it's a Tom Thibodeau team, and there's no way they're going to finish in the bottom 5 in defensive rating. And I said that earlier. Again, I said that on my podcast, and then Danny corrected me and was like, that happened with the T-Wolves like 3 times, right?
Well, here's the thing. Like with the Timberwolves, we're talking about like Jeff Teague, Ricky Rubio.
Yeah. He was just joking around.
But I know. But
are you talking down to Ricky Rubio right now?
No, I'm not talking down to Ricky Rubio. Well, Ricky Rubio was Steph Curry for a night. He can have his night at the Garden.
Ricky Rubio revenge game was something, man.
Bro, he didn't say a word. He did not say a word the entire time on the court, and that bothered me even more. He just shut his mouth. And that 3 in front of the Knicks bench.
He really wanted to beat Tibbs. He does not like Tibbs at all. Yeah,
is that what it is, dude? He did not say a word.
I mean,
assassin.
Ricky Rubio was traded by Tom Thibodeau for Jeff Teague.
He was mad about that. I don't know.
I would be mad about that.
Ricky Rubio's way better than Jeff Teague.
Hell yeah, man! I don't know. I think Ricky Rubio had a.
Where'd he end up going?
Who? Ricky Rubio?
Yeah,
I think he went to
Utah, right? Utah, right? Was that
Utah? That's a good spot. He went to the playoffs.
hold on.
Yeah, but he got sent, but he was only there for like one season, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know.
He was there
If he was mad at Tibbs, I get it. He was an absolute assassin. But speaking of like our defense and the fact that we have to get it together, to be honest with you, you keep talking about Kemba Walker. I agree. We're going to see a Kemba night, but it's not going to be on the defense. Like he's going to have one of those nights where he drops 45 and we're all going to go crazy and we're all going to, tweet about it and it's going to be on Sports Center and we're all going to have a great time. And, Jesus and Mero are going to lead with it and, we're all going to retweet it and we're all going to have fun. And hopefully it happens once or twice in the playoffs, but like for longevity for this season, from the guard play as it stands, the only way we're going to have on-ball defense is IQ. IQ has been doing his thing. He's going to have to step up and earn those minutes. And like you said, I'm the one that really let it off and said that Tibbs is stingy with his minutes. Yeah. IQ, you saw IQ, like you mentioned, Chip. He'll end the fourth if he's playing well. All right. Alex's notes, first half, second half, he's mentioned IQ all throughout the game. I know Alex has been talking up IQ all off season too. He's ready for him to take that next step. And seeing that D Rose and Kemba really can't compete on defense, at the extra high level that we kind of need them to due to the lack of efficiency for Chip's Evan Fournier. Like Evan Fournier is not going to be better on defense all of a sudden. It's just not going to happen. Like we could pray, we could pray about it, but it's not going to happen.
Team defender. He's a good team defender.
I was about to say he's a really defender. Good. I was about to say that. And even when I was doing the free agency previews for Knicks Fan TV, I said for Evan Fournier, he's not an on-ball defender. He's a team defender, like first and foremost. That's what you bring him in there for. And Kemba Walker, I go back to what point guard is going to be your lockdown point guard. That's just very far and few between. There's very few Drew Holidays in the league.
I think it could be IQ.
I really do. I like IQ's defense. IQ's defense he's good. I like IQ's defense, man. He's tenacious. He's fighting around screens. He's always trailing the guy. He's right on their hip. And he's just not letting anyone get by him that easily. But I agree, like we do need better perimeter defense. And I think that's how IQ is going to work his way in, as you pointed out, John. I think he's going to work his way in because of his defense. And Tibbs is like, well, he can't shoot the three when he gets really hot. And he plays really good defense because he's active. So he's getting there. I think the thing is that you talk about Tom Thibodeau being strict with minutes. We even saw that against the Cavs where he kept the rotation short until he was like, Rubio is killing me, man. I guess I got to Quentin Grimes. Come on, son. Let's see what you got over here.
Yeah, I like that move though. That was such a frustrated coach move. Like, nobody can do it. Rookie, let's go see. And he did not take him out for nothing. He did not care. He got the air ball on the three. Did not matter. Like, you're playing D, you want to air ball three? No problem with me. Like, I kind of like that philosophy.
And that's what's going to get these guys on the court. And I'll shout out Chris Vernon from the Mismatch, part of the Ringer Network. He always talks about when he interviews coaches, what's the thing that coaches want to get them on the court? And it's not offense, unless like you're gifted offensive player. It's defense. Defense is going to get you on the court a lot faster. If you know where to be, stay in front of your man, you'll be on the court a lot faster than your offense, because the offense, they believe, can come a little bit later. But for IQ, man, I hope he gets those minutes. And I think this is a good chance to like transition to like our grievances, because there's one Obi Toppin that needs to be getting more minutes.
Yes.
John, you've been begging for this before we even got into the season. You've been saying Obi needs 15 to 20 minutes a night. I'm with you. This dude brings the energy. He's efficient. He was hyper efficient against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was irritated. Dude. So irritated in the fourth quarter, where he was part of that second unit to help bring it back close. And then they bring in Julius Randle. And I get what Tibbs is doing. Okay. I get that Tibbs is trying to give trust into his starters. The guys have been there. You got Julius Randle, who just got paid your $100 million man. Sure. I get that. But what I don't understand is when you see a guy going off and actually helping this team, wins to me are more important than politics of, this is our guy. He's the face of the franchise. He didn't have it, man. He didn't have it defensively. Obi was in there killing it on offense and defense.
Dude, it was right after the alley-oop. It was literally a timeout after the alley-oop.
And
you can't do that.
That's the mind-boggling thing, is that he just finished a bucket. And like I tweeted before they even got back from commercials, like, do not change this lineup. Just don't. And I knew he was going to change that lineup.
Oh my goodness. You should have just asked me, because I'm literally sitting right there. Obi was I honestly thought that this was the day that Obi was going to curse out Tibbs. He was breaking news. He literally said, that's effing bullshit. Like, he literally said that. Literally right on the spot. Literally said that.
Obi
I don't
said that?
blame him. He literally, as he walked to the bench, I saw him, and I don't really blame him. It is like how could you take me out after the other team called timeout because I got an alley-oop dunk? Like, just on that principle, at least wait until the next whistle. Like, at least let me make one mistake that you can point to. And especially, like Alex said, Randle just listen, a couple of times this year so far, we've seen it where we go down and we ask Randle to play hero ball, and then he plays hero ball, and then we complain when it doesn't go in. Okay, and that's just the Cavs game was another one of those days where we were like, yo, we're down, we're just gonna give it to Randle, see what happens. He's our hero, and if he messes up, we're gonna blame it on Randle. And Tibbs actually relieved him, put in Obi. He was able to actually pick up at that. We were rolling, we were going, we had the momentum, and then he put Randle back in because, like you said, Alex, it's just the way of the land, and that was really frustrating. I was ready for Obi to come and kill versus Sixers, honestly, but that didn't happen either. He's just like, this free Obi thing might be kind of real,
dude. I am.
But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna put him at 5? Chip, you're gonna put Obi at 5. Okay, so let's say you have to keep Randle in. Like, what are you gonna do? I don't want Obi at 5. You're gonna put Obi at the 3? Like, what are you gonna do?
Wait, you don't want to put Obi at 5, so you're putting Randle at the 5 then? And that's
no, like I want Randle in his natural position. I want a center in, but I also want Obi. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, how does it fit? Like, what? Well, then how do you? That's what I'm at. Well, that's what's going on in Tibbs' head.
Yeah,
that's why he's only playing.
There's
10
no
minutes.
minutes.
So
there's no minutes because Randle's
us.
going to play 38 minutes every single night. So I just don't see it. The only route for Obi to get extended minutes is for Tibbs to say, "I'm willing to play Obi and Julius together," which he has honestly shown absolutely no willingness to do that at all.
And
I don't blame him
though. But he should, like, in a matchup and for spurts, for like 5-minute spurts, it's not a big deal. Like, go.
Dude, Jarrett Allen would have got. We couldn't get any rebounds yesterday. Jarrett Allen would have murdered us like that.
He could have tried something. He was killing us with playing Nerlens out there. He could have tried something different. Just to run with Obi and Julius,
have them force their hand. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't. Like, I think the other way of looking at it is that, yes, you have Jarrett Allen out there who's good defensively, a really good rim protector. My thing is, all right, let's go 5 guys who can run the court. Just give us 5 guys. Put RJ, Obi, Randle. Insert whatever, whether it's quickly.
I want to center. I want to center in a point guard there, bro. I want a big lineup. Could I have a big lineup where it's like, I know we always try to go small.
We don't have Evan Mobley on this team.
Yeah.
If we had Evan Mobley on this team, I'd say hell yeah, man.
There's no option. Where's the big lineup? What's the big lineup you want to say?
Like, if we just keep the center in, keep the 5 in, whether that's, Mitch, Noel, Taj, or whatever, throw that Randle, Obi, and then any two guards you want. You want to throw in a mix of D Rose, Kemba, IQ at the point guard, and then the shooting guard, you could have RJ, Fournier, any of those two. Like, mix and match those 5 guys, like, just for a little bit.
Oh, so Obi or Julius at the 3 then.
Yeah, but basically, yeah. But when you're playing, for example, the Pacers, I don't think that's such a big deal. You know what I mean? Maybe versus a team that's going really small. Like,
and that's
maybe OKC. That's tough. But why can't we establish dominance sometime? Because obviously, what we're doing is not working. That's all I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is, like, defensively, it's just not working. we don't have the guys. Like, are you just going to throw Grimes out there to be the perimeter defender?
I mean, no, he's a rookie, so Tibbs isn't gonna do that.
So what are we gonna do? Like that's it. So we don't have. So then we don't have an answer.
Yeah, I just don't think playing Obi at the 3 is possible. I mean, I don't think.
So it's just for Randle. You're just saying it has to just be the whatever Randle's not doing. That's where Obi is.
But yeah, sorry, Alex, go ahead.
No, I was going to say like the opposite though is like what we had last night where Drummond was out and you're like, oh, this is a time where we can go small, where you put Randle, Obi out there together, and then you can have 3 guards or whoever, and then really push the pace. Like there are teams that are going to do that, and we can expose them on that, because trying to stop a guy like Obi Toppin who's ready to run in transition, who can also put the ball on the floor, it's dangerous.
We can create.
Wow,
I feel,
challenge.
guys. I feel
that's also
Sean Marion. Like Sean Marion is in the lab, and like we can unleash the Sean Marion if we just like let him, gain experience and learn and play. But like we're just like nah, just like stay here and like just like shoot 2 threes a game and get a rebound, then call it a day.
Sean Marion is one of the best wing defenders I've ever seen. He was an amazing defender. You think Obi has that in him?
No, I'm just saying, like he's like this miniature like version of him. Like that's what he should be striving to. And I just feel like we're never gonna be able to unleash that if he's getting 8 minutes a game, and when he's doing pretty well, we take him out in the 4th. You know what I mean? We just can't unleash that potential in him.
I mean,
he was great in college, right? You're the college guy. He was a beast in college. This is not
awesome
like it wouldn't be like a crazy phenomena if he ended up being a really good wing in the NBA.
I think that would be wild. If he ended up playing the small forward in the NBA, I would be shocked if he did.
Well, just like if he could just defend someone and hit a 3 or 2. I mean, he's obviously been working on his 3. He hasn't been hitting them, but he's obviously been working on it. And he's trying to work on his defense to crack this rotation. I just don't think it's too crazy I'm just trying to fit him in. Like, I don't think this is like a genius plan. I'm just trying to fit him in with Randle.
Is to play him and Randle as the 2 bigs. That's how he fits.
I just hate that. So I just think they'll get owned. I think that if I'm the opposing team, all I'm praying for if I play the Knicks is for you guys to start Randle and Obi Toppin against my guys. Like that's what I'm hoping for.
But isn't that what the Clippers did against Zubac? Who was it? Yeah, Clippers used that small ball lineup, right? I'm not going crazy.
Yeah,
versus who?
Yeah,
did they do that against
Utah.
Dallas? Or Utah against Gobert? Yeah,
against Gobert.
Yeah, and Gobert is one of the best rim protectors out there. So they took out this close to the $200 million man off the court because they went small ball. Yeah. I think you could do that with the Knicks too, especially if you're then going heavy on offense. Because if the case is then every time we bring down the ball, there's a higher chance that we're putting in the bucket versus your guy trying to come back and chase us. That's fine. I think Randle's strong enough to be pushing guys out of the paint. Like we've seen Randle go up against Drummond before. That's not a biggie. I think him against Jarrett Allen would have been an okay matchup. It wouldn't be a great matchup, but it'd be an okay matchup. I think you can squeeze Obi 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. 5 minutes, not that much. Just 5 minutes of just time to get that little bit of overlay to get Obi on the court saying, all right, guys, we're going a lot of offense right now. D Rose quickly, Burks, Toppin, Randle, go out there. Let's get some points. Let's focus on that, because that will just be more dynamic. That would put other teams on their toes saying, crap, we got to keep up with these guys offensively now. Now we got to work. Who's guarding Obi Toppin out in transition? That's just a lot of guys who are just running up and down the court that no teams necessarily want to deal with. And then you might have to force the other team to go small if they got to keep up.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to just try it out. I mean, nothing's ever perfect. I think the thing that is irritating is that we see Obi Toppin playing really well and he's getting 5 to 8 minutes. And you're like, guys, like, come on. This guy can get a little more points.
It hurts, bro. It really hurts.
Yeah,
actually, I was really
he's playing really well without our best player on the court with him.
Yes, that's a perfect word. We said it at the same time. I was just irritated. Dude. I was just as irritated as Obi was after that when he took him out in the Cavs game. I didn't realize that was going on in the real world too. I thought it was like normal, like put Randle back in. Like, my friend who I was with was like, obviously we're gonna put Randle back in. I was like, but how? How can you go up to Obi right now and be like, yo, sit down? Like, you know what I mean?
It's so weird, man. It's like, yo, you were playing really well. Please take a seat. All right.
Yeah. We asked you to do everything we asked you to do. You did perfectly. stinks. And it's just so mechanical. Like I know at the 6-7 minute mark in the fourth quarter, the change is coming. Like I know it. You know what I mean? It's just too mechanical. I hate that part.
I think most coaches are like that now, though, right?
I hate that, Chip. I don't care. I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I think they are. I think they are.
I hate this mechanical crap. It's very soccer-like. It's very soccer. Soccer does that. Oh, in the 65th minute, we're gonna put in our forward, and that's it's gonna throw everything off. Like we all know you're gonna do that. We're just gonna make a sub in the 72nd minute. We're just gonna. It's so silly.
Shout out to you, Chip, because you've been promoting it. And I started watching it. Just if we're speaking about soccer, Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, great.
Let's go.
You started watching?
Great feel good show, man. On season 2 already. It's awesome.
Oh, are you? Good. I won't spoil anything.
Yeah, don't. Just watched the Christmas episode last night, so I'm gonna keep.
Have you watched Dominique?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has she liked it?
Nice.
She was the one that introduced me to it. She was
nice.
Good.
Yeah, it's such a good like sports because there's so many sports references besides the Jets thing.
You know what hurt? I was about to say the Jets thing. The Jets thing hurt me. We all could. Oh man, it's like, what do you call a team that's underperforming and just stinks? The New York Jets. I was like, oh wow.
There's some great NBA references in there. The Allen Iverson practice rant is a great one. Yeah.
Yes.
The Steve Kerr references are great. Steve Kerr's son works on the show. So there's a couple Steve Kerr references. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Little couch critic, little couch critic tidbit.
The guy who plays Coach Beard was on Low Post and talked all about it. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I've never seen him in anything.
I never have either. I just assumed he was like an old school, like maybe an SNL guy or something, a friend of Jason Sudeikis's, but he's so funny on that show.
Hilarious, bro. His God. Facial expressions are just getting me every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. But getting back to our New York Knicks. Getting back to this podcast.
Not the Soul movie where they make fun of the Knicks. We're not gonna get into that.
No. But
which I tend to like blame every Knicks loss on that. That's like my only rationale. Like,
good movie, man. But the guy who wrote it is a big Knicks fan anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's
makes sense.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It's nice rationale. Like it's not in our control when we lose.
There's a lot of Knicks fans out there, man. It's one of the more popular teams out there. Talk about the original franchise. Us and the Boston Celtics been around.
A star-studded 6 p.m. start on a Sunday for Cavs, like Chris Rock, Pete Davidson, like everyone is there. It's Julito. Everyone's there, man.
Everyone, their grandmother shows up for the New York Knicks. It's appreciative. Unlike the Boston Celtics, where our halftime performance is Boston College marching band. So it's great.
That's classic. We have little kids playing basketball. That's easy.
I would much rather watch that. Give me that than the marching band,
dude. On League Pass, you should. If you watch, League Pass, you get to watch the halftimes. The Sacramento Kings have been having some weird halftime. Like there's some weird halftime.
You know what the weirdest one is? If we're gonna, this is a good side tangent. Weirdest halftime performance I saw was, I think, Taekwondo movements for the San Antonio Spurs, and it was like an all age group from 7-year-olds to 50, 60-year-olds, and they're doing the motions like not even just. It's not fast. It's like slow punches. And I'm like, what are we doing here? It's like, this is the best we got in San Antonio.
They just have a class. They just like they made people sign up for the class because like one day we're gonna be able to do like a 10-minute class on the San Antonio court.
Like when Kramer does karate in that one Seinfeld episode, and he's
dude, I literally just watched
kids.
That episode. I literally just watched episodes. So
Kramer, you're fighting children.
No, they're my class, man.
It's not a KJE. It's not a KJE pod with some good side tangents. All right,
let's get back to the schedule.
Back to our normal programming. So, Chip, you talked about coaches being mechanical. I want to know. Just give me some coaches that you think are mechanical, and then we can keep this thing pushing because I do want to get on the rotations a bit. Even though it sounds like the funny thing is like we're making these like grievances. The team is 7-4. And it sounds like we're talking about losing team.
We're totally nitpicking, yeah.
Yeah, we're just nitpicking here, which is really, I guess that's just part of the New York culture.
Nitpicking.
Thank you, everybody. John Blake is here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever time you listen to this podcast. But no, Chip, what do you give me some mechanical coaches that we're talking about?
I mean, based on what I see Lakers fans tweet all the time, I think Frank Vogel has to fall into that category. And I mean, I've seen enough Pacer games back in the day, and it does seem like he falls into that category. He's very analytically driven, guys like that. And Mike D'Antoni was definitely like that when when he was with the Rockets. And I think there's a lot of guys like it's ironic. The guy that Knicks fans wanted, Kenny Atkinson, would have been exactly like this.
Yeah.
So any Knicks fan who wanted Kenny Atkinson, he would have been the exact same way with minutes.
It's
just
funny.
like
All
this with Tibbs.
All those people are silent too. So
yeah,
don't stay silent. Anyway, wow, I'm just in an agitated mood today. It's great.
Anyway,
Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle.
Rick Carlisle.
That is like to the T.
Yeah. So the thing is with Rick Carlisle, he to me is such the opposite of Tibbs, which I don't know if I wonder if you guys would want this kind of coach. Would you guys want a coach on this Knicks team to like call offensive plays? Because like if we call the offensive plays, we might actually have someone to blame. Number one, right? At least it'd be like, oh, the plays aren't working, and we could like see what's going on, like what we're trying to do. Because now we're just like, yo, you take it. All right, you take it. All right, like we're just playing hot potato with pick and roll and ISO ball. Like, do you guys think the Knicks would strive with a Carlisle type, like just like calm plays?
I feel like all that ever does is piss his point guards off, though. Yeah, like Kidd hated him, Rondo hated him, Luka hates him.
I was about to say, go talk to Rondo.
Yeah. So
yeah, okay.
I mean, he won the one championship, of course, but I don't know. I feel like Kemba Walker. Okay. Does Kemba Walker really need a coach yelling a play at him? He's Kemba Walker.
Sure.
I mean, we haven't really seen Kemba. We haven't seen Kemba really command the offense yet either. So,
but if we call the play for RJ, I'm sure that would make some people happy. You know what I mean? Or if we like all of a sudden design something for Randle to get 4 free points every single game, that'd be nice. If he doesn't have to work his butt off for every single point, like, dude, every single bucket Randle scores is a straight up war. Like, I feel like he never gets a nice, easy, tiny like layup. He never gets like a nice, easy second chance opportunity like that bounces to him for the 3, like IQ does to like he never. He's always like getting bumped and bruised, and so I mean to wrap up like my grievances. Like I agree with you. I'm also agitated, even though I'm pretty sure again best start in a decade. So I don't want to go too far, but our perimeter defense is tough. Like we all mentioned. The OB stuff is kind of tough, but I get it. Like it's so hard to fit him in. So I'm not that upset about that. And dude, I don't know. Just like, do we have to shoot 653s a game? Like we don't have players that can hit threes.
We didn't do that against the Bucks. That was the best adjustment I saw too. Like we were not knocking down our threes. And then we just started attacking the paint. We started getting physical, which was great because if we're not hitting threes, do something else. And you
the first game we did that.
Yeah, magic, just magic. But I like I
don't smile, Chip.
But I agree with you, man. Like Tibbs, I don't know. I think
are we gonna beat the Bucks? Are we gonna beat the Bucks
twice
tonight?
Yeah, when this podcast comes out, they'll be playing tonight. But before we get into that, I'll just say like I do agree with you on Tibbs offensively, like with Randle. The thing I think for Randle, and then we can really get into this because I really want to touch on it. I think Randle's still trying to figure out how to be that distributor. I know some people are done with like seeing a lot of point Randle. I'm also done seeing a lot of point Randle. We have guards, we have guys, we have so many guys that can bring on the ball. It's not last season where we have to solely rely on Randle. I think Randle's still trying to adjust to being a playmaker with trusting guys on his team who can also knock down the shot. And that's where everyone's still trying to get their footing, right? Because we see Randle play hero ball. And I don't think Randle necessarily needs to play hero ball. When you see RJ who can contribute, when you see Evan Fournier, if he's feeling it, he can do it. Kemba, if he's feeling it, he can do it. Derrick Rose has shown that he can help this team. We have so many guys that can literally help this team. The depth is there. Tibbs, one, has to utilize it. 2, Randle has to be comfortable with not having to be that guy all the time. In situations, it's fine for Randle to take the last shot. When you're talking about the last couple of seconds of the game and you want to go ISO just to make sure you get a shot off, sure, fine. But I don't need third quarter where we see all of our starters in there for the entire third quarter and Randle's just taking a bunch of shots. That just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Chip, anything you want to add in before we wrap it up and talk about the slate?
Yeah, not really a grievance because the Obi thing, Obi getting more minutes is really my only real grievance, but it's more like a Randle thing. Like we thought adding better players, his shots and his usage would go down, and it has gone down slightly, but I'd like to see his shots go down a little more. I don't want him to take on, and it's not like he's killing the team or anything. He's playing great, more so recently, but I'd like to not see him put so much pressure on himself every time he touches the ball. I feel like he's doing that. And he's got, like you said, he needs to trust his new teammates more and his team, RJ Barrett too, and Fournier, Kemba, and just share the ball. Like he doesn't have to do it himself anymore. I think he's coming to terms with that. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. He's slowly coming to terms with it. And it's like I said, for our listeners out there, I know it sounds like doom and gloom, but this is truly just nitpicking the Knicks, because we are a 7-4 team. We do have a winning record, but when you watch this team on a night to night basis, you see the inconsistencies, you see the flaws, and they're just so glaring, especially when it's from threes. When you have Miles Turner and Ricky Rubio just lighting you up from three, the most two recent in memory. It's just insane. Like I don't really care about OG Anunoby going off. OG's a really good player. I think people are just sleeping on OG. Cole Anthony. I'm not the biggest fan of Cole Anthony. I'm not the least of it, but I do think he's a good player too. So,
Chip's thoughts.
Why aren't you a fan of Cole?
I'm not a fan. It's not that I'm not a fan of Cole. I like Cole. Like I think he's a really good player. Well, I don't have to love every single player that's on the court.
Oh man.
I think he's a good player, man. Like we had a whole pod with Corey Tullable last year where we had like a whole 15-minute segment on Cole Anthony and him potentially being a Knick. I think Cole is going to be a really good player. He plays with a lot of tenacity. He loves to attack. I love that about him. I think for me, like I don't watch enough Magic game like you do, so I can't really fall in love with the guy. I only watch the Magic win the Knicks play because Chip, there's only so much heartbreak I could take in my life, and the Jets give me enough of that. So
yeah,
and the Knicks have done that too for a very long time.
Yeah, too many sports, too much TV. I haven't watched as many,
but that's why you're the couch critic.
Yeah,
that's why you're the couch critic, Chip.
Yeah,
well, let's get into the slate. We got a good slate coming up, and we're going to talk about your Orlando Magic because that's going to be not tonight, but the following Wednesday when this pod comes out. So tonight we have the Bucks at MSG against the Knicks. The next one would be the Knicks at Hornets. Then the Pacers come to MSG, and then we got the Magic at MSG again. So let's start off with the Bucks. What are you guys thinking about Knicks and the Bucks? Are we going to get another victory, or is this Giannis and everyone coming to MSG because apparently we can't defend home court that well? Chip, I'm going to start off with you.
Well, I know we're favored in this game, which kind of surprised me, but I saw
that means Middleton's out, right?
Middleton is still in COVID protocol, and I guess Lopez is questionable. I think I saw last.
Yep.
He's a Knicks killer, so that probably means that they're banking on him being out.
Yeah, I think it was 2.5 last I
saw.
It's at 2 now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Look, Giannis definitely wants to crush us. He definitely doesn't want to lose 2 in a row. It's not just us that he wants to be. He loves beating the big market teams. He definitely circles those games. Like he likes beating the Lakers and Clippers too. Like he wants to beat us. And obviously his brother has like that weird grudge against us for whatever reason. So there's that whole thing too. Yeah.
Phil Jackson ain't here anymore.
I don't know. They're the defending champs. I mean, it's hard to beat the defending champs 2 games in a row, man. I mean, it's going to be a hard game. Do I think, of course they can win. I mean, you have got like RJ Barrett is coming off a bad game. The odds of him having 2 terrible games like that in a row are unlikely. I think Kemba is obviously due for a big game. So I think they definitely can win, but and they're they're also due for a win at home. They've been terrible at home and compared to on the road. So yeah, I think they absolutely can win, but I don't know, man. I'm not super confident, especially with them being favored against the defending champs. Like I said, like I don't know if I like
Weird.
that one. Yeah,
I
I don't know if
know.
I like that.
I know it's fishy line. I don't
Yeah.
like that either. What do you think, Alex?
I'm gonna take. I was talking to you about it today, John. I'm feeling that the Knicks got something up their. Not that they have something up their sleeves, but I feel like this is the time for someone, Emmanuel, quickly to break out. He's starting to find his shooting stroke, and I think this is the game where he's just gonna go off. He's ready. Quickly is usually ready to go off. People always are like, why isn't Quickly a consistent shooter? Just go back to his college, man. He was not that type of guy where he was consistent on a night-to-night basis. There are games where he would go, there'd be stretches where he'd go 1 for 5, 1 for 6, 2 for 7, all those type of things. And the next thing you know, this dude goes out 8 for 8, 9 for 9. And it's like, holy shit, this guy's on a spree. And I think that's coming around. He's starting to find a shot. We saw that against Philly. We saw that slowly coming against who to play the Cavs too. He was starting to get some shots up in there. I think this is going to be that game. I think there's that game where he comes out. I think the Knicks win. I'm actually going to go with the Knicks beating the Bucks. I'm going to be that brave guy to take it. What about you?
No, going down by 21 nonsense.
No.
This time around?
No being down 21 nonsense. I think we are going to start off being in a deficit, but not by 21.
Yeah, the line's really fishy. We've been ping ponging back and forth. The only thing we had that little mini losing streak with the Bucks, with the Raptors and Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
I really hate the Hornets game in Charlotte on Friday. I don't think we're gonna win that game. So just based on that, I'm taking a Bucks win reluctantly. We were really frustrated after that Cavs game. We showed how we could respond in Philly. I'm hoping we kind of bring that momentum back because it's just a train ride away. They've basically been home. So yeah. I'm hoping you're right, and we can just slam this Bucks team away because they don't have Brook Lopez, because they don't have Middleton. It's not the same championship team. Giannis could drop 40. We could still beat them because, he's probably going to drop 40. So I still think we could beat them regardless. So I like the Knicks here. And like I said, going to the road for that one road game in Charlotte, I think that's an L. What do you guys think? Coming up to that Charlotte game with LaMelo, dude, we can't guard anyone. We can't guard Ricky Rubio. How the hell are we gonna guard LaMelo?
Oh, LaMelo, you're more
He's
worried
a pace
about
guy.
Charlotte doesn't look so good though.
I mean, the last 2 games?
Well, they're 5-7 right now.
Yeah,
they're starting to.
They were hot. They were hot at first.
I mean, Miles Bridges started off hot. He hasn't played well recently. I know that. And
they lost to the Lakers by 3. They got killed by the Clippers and the Kings. And they just had a bad West Coast trip, right? Warriors, Kings, Clippers, Lakers, 0 for 4. Not great. But they could have beat the Lakers. You can't stop Melo sometimes. You know how it is, guys.
I'm so happy for Melo.
I know. Shout out to Carmelo.
I really am. I hope he gets a ring, even if it has to be with the Lakers.
It's not going to be with the Lakers unless they trade Westbrook. We all know that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please, if they trade Westbrook, I'm all in.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
If LeBron James wins a championship with Russell Westbrook, he's the best player of all time.
That anchor around him, Russell Westbrook.
It's unbelievable. Guy's trying to lose on his team every single game.
The fact that that defensive effort where he was just left, I forget who he left open for an easy dunk. That
Dort. The Dort layup.
Yeah. Oh yes, against OKC. Always hoping OKC win. Insanity, just insanity. Chip, so what do you got, man? What do you think about this Knicks Hornets game? You think the Knicks go into? I mean, we're good on the road, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we went to. I wouldn't be surprised if we went into Charlotte, get that win.
Yeah, I think
game weirds me out though.
I think they lose the Milwaukee game and win the Charlotte game. Actually, I like them. I think they play pretty well against Charlotte. I know this is a different Charlotte team, but I think they play pretty well, especially in Charlotte, I feel like. And I don't know, Rozier hurts the Knicks a lot, but I don't know. Charlotte, I think they're catching Charlotte at the right time. And I'm not too worried about this team. I think they'll be okay.
They also got Kelly Oubre on there, who's a
disaster.
Yeah, who will self-implode, so he can also help the Knicks' chances there too. Yeah. If anything, I think the next, like, I'm gonna go with the Knicks beating the Hornets too, because I think it's the next game where the Knicks take that L against the Indiana Pacers. I think the Pacers get our number again.
Oh,
I know.
I want this one. I want the.
I don't know about that.
I'm eyeing this Pacers game. I think I have to be at the Garden for this game. I need this Pacers game. I need to beat Rick Carlisle. We need to get rid of this Pacers like chip, no pun intended, because this is gonna haunt us. I mean, the Pacers are gonna be in our way all year long. I feel like we're gonna run into them in the playoffs. We have to start figuring out how to play this team. Like, we have to remember when Randle owned Sabonis and Miles Turner was a joke. Like, why can't we have that kind of game?
I think the thing is that they got a better coach now than last year. Whoever that one and done guy was, I can't remember his name.
We just said we just said we don't want. Yeah. We just said we want Tibbs over Carlisle 5 minutes ago.
I know, but Rick Carlisle is still a good coach. Like, I'm not going to take that away from him. I think for the Pacers that now now will revert back to. I think they're starting to get into rhythm. They're 4-7. Boy. They're starting to get into that rhythm. They're such a dynamic team, man. They're like the Knicks, where they're just deep. You keep talking about them, man. You keep talking about how you're afraid of the Indiana Pacers, and I'm afraid of them too, man. This team is really good.
Yeah,
this team's really good, man.
Yeah, man.
This team's really good.
This is like the Raptors to me. This is yes. They're good. They play good team defense. They're gonna sneak up on you, and they're gonna run half court sets on you, man. Why not? What's wrong with this Pacers team? Like, where's the flaw?
The Raptors? They're not the Raptors. The Raptors
where's the flaw?
Are the Raptors. I don't know. There's just something about There's just something about the Pacers. It's just they're so underwhelming always. Like, there's something about them. I just
think it's different with Carlisle, or you just like not into the jerseys.
I think Carlisle.
I hate the Indiana Pacers as well.
I don't. I think
Carlisle, I could hop on that train all day.
I think Carlisle's overrated. I've always thought that as a coach.
Oh, that's a hot take.
I've always thought that. Yeah.
All right.
Who's more overrated, Rick Carlisle or Doc Rivers?
Ooh, that's the easiest. Like Doc Rivers.
I know for you, John. I'm talking for Chip.
I cite first and foremost Chip Murphy's Orlando Magic when I talk about why Doc Rivers is a fraud. That's like my number. That's like my number one site.
Go ahead. You have some strong takes on Doc, so go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. When Alex knows, I just think Doc Rivers stinks as a coach. I think he's so overrated. I only think he's good when he has superstars with him. The only reason he actually is getting coaching gigs again is because he got the big three handed to him in Boston. I think he was going to get fired if he didn't get that, to go. He would have never got another coaching job again ever, because right before that, he was the worst coach ever with the Magic. So I don't know anyone ever sees in him, and he's never got anything done since. So I don't know. To me, I wouldn't pay Doc Rivers $5 to coach the Knicks.
God damn.
I really wouldn't. We would lose games. I really would not pay him. I would not want him coaching the Knicks.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Doc Rivers is so... There's a lot of people who think like you about Doc. So I don't think he's overrated, because especially after what happened with the Clippers, another collapse with the Clippers. So I don't think people are as high on Doc as they used to be. The media loves him because he's such a media guy and he talks to all of them and stuff.
Well, he's a player's guy.
He's a player's guy. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people who aren't as high on Doc, the coach, anymore. But yeah, I mean, he got the Sixers job right away, though. I mean, he got fired by the Clippers and hired the next day.
Insane, bro.
So
insane.
He's still
getting every good roster.
To
every
your
top
point,
of the league, by the way.
To your point, he does have a great reputation, though. Yeah, he's always going to be able to get jobs, and that dates back to the Celtics thing. So, because him and Morey know each other from the Celtics. And that's why Morey hired him.
Well, that answers where Chip stands. So Chip will take Doc Rivers over Rick Carlisle.
No. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
This is disgusting, Alex. So you got the Knicks beating the Pacers or not, Chip?
In a 7-game series? Absolutely.
No, on
Absolutely.
Monday, November 15th.
On Monday? Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
All
So
right,
John,
me too.
you got
Alex, you have the
okay.
loss?
I have the loss, but I have them bouncing back against one Orlando Magic on Wednesday.
Please, God, if they lose to Magic again.
Cole Anthony in the Garden.
Cole's going to take
Terrence
over
Ross in the
under-
Garden.
over under 19 and a half shots for Cole Anthony. Or no.
I was going to say 20 buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking the over on that.
Yeah. Then maybe that's too low. 22 and a half
Yeah.
shots.
Oh,
for Cole.
I like
yeah,
that.
that's a good one. That's a
I
good
like
one.
that.
That's a good one. Yeah, I'd still take the over.
yeah, maybe.
Guess the lines. Whose lines is that anyway with Chip Murphy on Cole Anthony shots? Shot props a week in advance. I like it.
I wish they would have those. The field goal attempts. They would have been so fun when Harden was still on the Rockets to be able to bet the over on field goal attempts.
Did you see the Nets sarcastically cheer a Harden foul yesterday? Harden finally got a foul call, and they like sarcastically cheered it.
Yeah, sarcastically cheering a Harden foul. Like
Alex, how do you feel
mean,
about that?
Yeah.
I can care less what goes on in Brooklyn. For all I
They're
care,
a division
they're-
foe. You can't say that about Brooklyn and then care about Philly. They're a division foe. They're the same.
Yeah, I don't
but-
care about Brooklyn for a couple of reasons. They gentrify the goddamn neighborhood. All right. I just can't get over the fact that when I was just hanging out in New York City, like on a day-to-day basis, when I was dating somebody who lived out in Astoria, and I'd take the NQR and I'd have to hear all these.
Bleep that out, Raisi.
I have to hear everybody just say, we have the Brooklyn Nets now that just came to town. Their best player in franchise history is Deron Williams. I'm like, yo, just shut up, man.
Yo,
I was
good
like,
transition. Deron Williams
Yeah.
or Frank Gore. Who you got?
Oh,
Boxing match coming up.
Is this really a question? Give me Frank Gore all day, every day. It's
Yo,
like, he's a
Frank
tank.
Gore.
He's a tank.
Frank Gore was running over people at like 38 years old with the Bills. And then the Jets. And then the Jets.
The man has been playing football when all they had was just a leather helmet. Okay, that's how long
Yeah.
Frank Gore's been
You're
around.
so him and Rich Samini was covering him.
Yes, Rich Samini was over there. Rich Samini was like, and Mr. Frank Gore, please tell me, what did you think about that touchdown? But yeah, I think the Knicks come back and beat the Magic, transitioning seamlessly back to basketball.
We are off the rails. We're off the
Seamless
rails with the Couch
transition.
Critic today. Tell us about the Magic, Chip.
The Magic have been super entertaining this year, and I actually haven't watched as much of them this year as I usually do. But I've watched a few games, and one of them was the one where they just beat the Jazz, and Cole had 33 points, and it was, it was his best game as a pro. He was awesome. He had, I think 10 of those were in the fourth quarter, but he played great down the stretch. And for them to beat the Jazz, Wendell Carter played great too. I mean, that's looking like one of the best contracts in the NBA so far. I think Carter had 22 points, 15 rebounds, and 6 assists. So he's looked really good this year. I mean, before we came on, we were talking about how good Franz Wagner's looked. And Chuma hasn't even started playing well yet. He's still getting into game shape. And Jalen Suggs is still ironing out everything. He's still a rookie, he's still young. And I think Mo Bamba, I love Mo Bamba. I'm super high on him. He's played really well.
I love Mo Bamba too.
I love him.
Preach to the choir here.
Absolutely love him. And
I always thought he was going to be a Knick because he was a Harlem boy, but he's not going anywhere.
I don't know. They didn't offer him any sort of extension, and he's coming up, but this is the most playing time he's ever got. Steve Clifford wouldn't even put him in the game, and now he's been starting the entire season. And he's finally showing he's playing well. He's making threes. He's blocking shots. So he looks good. And it's like we said when we played him the first time, they play hard. That's the thing. Young teams like this, they always play hard. So they're going to give the Knicks a tough game. So it's a good thing for the Knicks that they keep playing them this early because it's a good test. They're going to play against a team that's going to give them a hard time. They're going to get a win, but it's going to be a tough game. And they're going to play against good players. And they got Terrence Ross, who they know is going to probably be a pain in the ass, just like he always is against the Knicks. And he didn't play well against Utah. I know he had a terrible game. So he's due to light someone up like he as he is want to do against the Knicks. And I mean, he's just super fun to watch. But I'm very high on this Magic team going forward. And Markelle Fultz and Jonathan Isaac haven't even come back from injury yet, which is going to be pretty interesting to see what happens with Fultz for me. Because I think the assumption was that Cole would slide to the bench when Fultz came back. But now I don't think he's going to the bench. I think there's going to be some
beast.
Yeah, I think
there's going to be Anthony's too good. I know.
I think there's going to be some trade conversation about Fultz when he comes back. I think that's a possibility, but we'll see. I think it's possible because obviously Suggs isn't going anywhere, and I think Cole has looked better so far than as an offensive player in terms of scoring than Fultz ever has.
Dude, Fultz off the bench is nasty for the Magic. What's the problem?
It is, but is that what he wants? Is he willing to do that?
I think for Fultz, I would say probably no, because he probably came into the season saying, hey, I was a starter last year before Cole Anthony. I was going to be a starter this year before Cole Anthony coming onto the scene. I think it's hard for a lot of young players who are still trying to carve out a role in this league to accept being a bench player, especially if it's someone younger than them. It depends. Unless he's that team-oriented guy that would take that bench. Although I would probably see Fultz going to. I could see him going somewhere like the Kings. I could see him going somewhere like the Nuggets.
Nuggets would be good.
Yeah, Nuggets I think the Magic could do another deal with the Nuggets again. But I just see him wanting to get more time. Bro. I mean, that would be too bad. Although you just don't have a lot of shooting
in Orlando.
Yeah,
we don't want him being a bad influence on Jalen Suggs. That's the last thing we need.
Triple-double machine over there.
So overhyped, man. So overhyped, those numbers.
You got to win here. You got to win here, Alex.
Against the Magic? Yeah. I think we beat the Magic.
All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, we can't guard a guard. And until we can guard a guard, we are not beating the Magic. We are not beating the Hornets.
Woof.
But we'll be able to beat teams like the Pacers and the Bucks, who tend to play, more towards the middle. Hopefully we can get a rebound or two. We have been pushing pace, though, but this is a 2-2 week for me.
You think we're losing to Orlando?
I think we're going to lose to the Hornets and we're going to lose to Orlando. And then we're going to split. Because that's a 3-game homestand, right? We got the Pacers on Monday, Magic on Wednesday, and then the Rockets on Saturday. I'm hoping for 2-1 there. Beat the Pacers and the Rockets and lose to the Magic in between. So just a little look ahead, but yeah, dude. It's not the fact that it's the Orlando Magic. It's the fact that we can't guard a guard, and their guard is really good right now. I mean, forget the fact that he's really good on paper and in front of our eyes. He's got the swag, dude. That post-game press conference he's oozing with confidence. Like you don't want that coming into the game. You know what I mean? The guard knows he's going to score 35 on you. That's not great against a team who can't guard the guards. So
they're going to attack Kemba and pick and roll that whole game with Cole. Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting to see who closes out that one.
Hopefully Mitch is healthy.
Hopefully. We'll see, man. We'll see what happens that week. That's what we got. So John's got 2-2. You got him being the Bucks and the Pacers, losing to the Magic and the Hornets. Chip, you got.
I think I was 3-1. I think I had 3-1. Just the Bucks was the loss.
Yeah, you had us losing to the Bucks. You had us being the Hornets, Pacers, and Magic. I also got 2-2 where we beat the Bucks, the Hornets. Actually, no. What am I talking? No, I got us being the Bucks, Oh yeah, I got us beating the Bucks, Hornets, losing to the Pacers, and beating the Magic.
So you both got 3-1.
Yeah, both got 3.
I got 2-2, and Chip, you got a nice little 3-game winning streak coming up.
I mean, he called the last one, man. He called.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
He called that winning streak. He was the start of that 9-game winning streak.
Chip's 9-game winning streak, one of my favorite episodes on this podcast.
Chip's 9-game winning streak. Who would have thought?
So give me a 3-game winning streak here, Chip. Give me a 3-game winning. You're gonna be a stapled co-host for the Knicks schedule because you're gonna have to come out here and give us winning streaks every time.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get Chip on when the playoffs come around. That way we know we got a guaranteed wins every single night.
Well, if that's true, then I change my pick. They're gonna beat the Bucks too. So.
4-game winning.
No, you can't change that. You can't change.
No. It's too late now. We have to go with the original take. It's solidified. But guys, we got some general NBA topics we got to discuss too before we get ourselves out of here. ESPN dropped an article about one Robert Sarver, owner of the Phoenix Suns. The reporter is Baxter Holmes. Very, 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 very detailed report on Robert Sarver for misogyny, racism, every bad thing you could think about under the sun. I read that thing. It took me an entire day to read that thing because, my God, that thing was detailed. Shout out to Baxter Holmes for doing some great journalism and just the thorough investigative work. For me, it's no. There's nothing like than say this guy's an asshole. just point blank. I was listening to NBA Ringers podcast with Logan Murdoch and one of Suns player, Raja Bell.
Raja Bell, yeah.
And Raja was discussing a time where he and Steve Kerr were having, I think it was either lunch or dinner with Robert Sarver. And he was talking about the incident saying, and keep in mind, Raja prefaces saying he's never experienced any racism he has never witnessed any of the actions that they discussed in that article. But what he did talk about was that they were out to lunch or dinner. I forget. Steve Kerr was there and it was Robert Sarver. And Raja said, he and his family would love to be in Phoenix. They love to stay there this entire time. And, he was looking for a contract extension. And Sarver replies saying, "You think you deserve a contract extension?" And Raja says, "Yeah, I do." And Sarver says, "I believe so too, but I don't have to give you one." And I think when you start hearing stuff like that, where guys are just telling stories like that, and even when Raja talked about his Phoenix Suns group chat and they're all just not surprised, I think it's telling that this guy is a racist, is misogynistic, and probably has committed all of these acts, if not it's not all of them, majority of them. And to this point, I could say that I believe that he's a terrible human being, but it's up to the NBA to do their investigative work and figure out if he can be removed, as they did to the former Clippers owner. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I know this is a very serious topic after just a very fun podcast, but we do have to talk. I feel like it is necessary for us to talk about serious things in the NBA because it is real world stuff. And I'm one for making a work environment comfortable, and two, just being a humanitarian and just being respectful to other people. So what are you guys' opinions on the matter?
Yeah, I mean, he's a terrible guy. Yeah. They should do the same thing they did with Donald Sterling. Yeah. And just take the team away from him, I guess. I don't know technically what they did. They didn't fire him. I guess I'm not sure what the right thing is. I guess, are they investigating Robert Sarver, or they hired a law firm to investigate, I guess? Yeah. Cause I just saw something on ESPN that they ex-staffers and the team said that his wife is texting them, threatening them or something. The whole thing is so insane, and he's obviously just a bad person. And there's been stuff about him being a jerk
for so long,
being a dick for a long time. So this really isn't surprising that something like this would come out. And I mean, yeah, just take the team away from the guy. You did it once, you can do it again. It's kind of a simple fix. Just take it away from the guy. Everybody who was associated with him needs to go.
I think the thing is that unlike Donald Sterling, there was actually hard, concrete evidence where you had a video of Donald Sterling just being a flat out racist.
That's true.
And they have to find the information and do that complete investigative work to make that type of move.
Yeah, you can't be taking away, billion-dollar franchises from owners, because of allegations, number one. But even if the investigation comes out, like, what's the crime? He has to have overtly racist acts in order to be an actual, detrimental to, the NBA shield for the other owners to vote him out. Like, at the end of the day, you can't, there's some precedent behind it. It's not just like, oh, this guy's a bad guy. This guy might have did bad things to his employees. Like, I don't even think that would get you out of there. You know what I mean? Of owning a franchise. I think there'd have to be like actual, like, legitimate crimes committed where you could like prove discrimination through anything, whether that's sex, gender, or any harassment, anything like that. If that's like proven and we can get it to a criminal level, not even a civil level, then you can start talking, right? Because that's where Sterling was, right? Where he was.
But he wasn't. There wasn't any crimes with Sterling, right?
No,
he was just saying racist things on a tape.
Yeah, it was more of a civil issue because he was being more of a flat out racist.
It's just very overt. It was very overt. So the only thing that came out in that article, correct me if I'm wrong, was that he said the N-word as quoting someone. Right? Was that the only thing in the article?
Yeah,
that's what he's alleging. That's what
very hearsay, very like nothing. Yeah.
If we're putting on a wiggle hats, like all this is just hearsay. You know what I mean?
He's not gonna get team taken away from this.
Even if you're in a courtroom and someone just said, well, they said this, and someone said, well, they said that, you can't do any action off of it because it's legitimately just say hearsay. Like I could just come up here and say, well, Chip said some wild ass shit, and Chip be like, I didn't say that at all. I didn't say any of this. And it's like, who are you going to believe? And it's just once again hearsay. So that's why for this they actually have to find something.
I do think it's interesting that Chris Paul is there. Just saying, every owner that Chris Paul's around, he down. Like, I think it's interesting that he's there and he re-signed, and this came out where everyone knew this has been a thing for years. Like, I don't want to harp on this too much because we don't really have information more than whatever the article said, whatever the media, players come out, whatever Earl Watson says. It's just, I just think it's my tinfoil hat is, I think it's interesting that Chris Paul, the ex-Players Association guy, I think he has a hand in all this. That's all I like.
In the story coming out, you mean?
I know. I just think that he's gonna he's working on the inside to this guy. He has feelings on this guy, and he's gonna make it his last mission to get this guy out of here. You know what I mean? And he's gonna be the one to infiltrate it from the in out. That's my tinfoil hat. That's the only thing that I could add to the story from my perspective. Is I think that Chris Paul is not a coincidence that he's here, and this is all stuff is coming out from years ago. Nothing here is new.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say it's Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is just why would you even want to work in that type of environment if you know that? You don't have to be there in order to make something happen. And from what I heard,
paying him a bunch of $1 million, bro. Know who else is paying Chris Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I think because from what I heard, especially on the mismatch, apparently Kevin O'Connor said that this was in the works. This has been happening. People were ready. He was the next one after Donald Sterling. So I think people knew about this prior to Chris Paul even wanting to be there. But as you said, John, all we're working off is just based off this article. The NBA has to do their investigation. But if you're asking me how I feel about this, or if you just want my opinion on Sarver, I think he's an ass. He's been known for being a cheap owner. He's been known for, you even see what he's doing to DeAndre Ayton. Dude just had a stellar career, or not a stellar career year last season, and now you're just not going to pay your center that you drafted number 1 overall. Kind of a little fishy, man. Kind of a little fishy and very strange for a guy who should want to have a successful team. That's what I'm saying. Just based on the story and just listen to like Raja Bell, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But we can keep moving on. Last topic, getting back to a little fun note. Let's end it on a fun note. We got some beef between the Morris brothers and the Jokic brothers. Woo, 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 woo. So if anyone hasn't seen it, it's circling on Twitter. It's probably after today. We'll probably hit Instagram at some point, and then Facebook, I don't know, a week later. We had Jokic making a pass while coming down the court. He was about mid-court. And then Markieff Morris of the Miami Heat decides to give him a hip check midair. Dangerous hip check. Could have seriously injured Jokic. And then Jokic decided to retaliate and bulldoze Markieff without Markieff seeing from behind and just knock him on the floor. And then you have everyone circling each other like NBA teams do it today, like they're going to fake fight each other. You have Jimmy Butler saying, "Meet me outside in the back." Come on, Jimmy, you're not going to do that at all.
Jesus
you're not going to
Christ.
risk. You're not going to risk your money, Jimmy. Stop acting fake tough. You ain't that guy.
Meet me outside in the back, he actually said.
Yeah. Meet me out back.
Well, he
Meet
made
me
a lot
out
of money
back.
off coffee, apparently. Maybe he
So-
could afford it.
I'll say this. Cheap shot by Keith. You can be angry at Jokic too. Not saying what Jokic did was right, but if you don't get what Keith did, you don't get Jokic's reaction. And I find this is not the first time Markieff Morris has done this. He did this against the Houston Rockets too. He did it to DeMarcus Cousins. Shout out to Stephen Bondi for finding that clip, because you had Marcus Morris, Marquise's brother, saying, "Oh, look at Jokic hitting the guy, hit my brother when he's not looking." Well, Keith has also hit guys when he's not looking. Just go equated to Boogie Cousins. So at this point, I think both of them are suspended. I think Keith should be suspended more so than Jokic, just because that, in my opinion. Yeah, no, I think he should, man. Like, it's the end of a game. Like, what are we doing at it? Why are you going to injure Jokic, the league MVP? You know, like, teams should want to protect the league MVP. You as a player should know you shouldn't take out another player, especially when you have Jamal Murray who's out on the sidelines. You have Michael Porter Jr. is also out. So now you want to take out Nikola Jokic because you're angry that your team lost one regular season game to the Nuggets. Like, that just makes no sense. I think for a guy like that, it's such a cheap shot, dangerous play, especially when a guy is midair.
Shoulder to the ribs.
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Chip,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts, man?
No, I thought it was a dirty play by Morris for sure. And I thought, I mean, it was also out of line by Jokic, but yeah, I agree with you that Morris should get more games. He just playing out. He hit him first. He started it. So he started it. So he gets more games for sure. He started the whole thing and he wanted it. Obviously, what did he think? Nothing was going to happen if he did that to freaking Nikola Jokic. Like, I guess he thought it just would go away. Like, he thought he's this tough guy and nobody would do anything to him, but that's not what happened.
What's your guess on suspension numbers?
For Morris, I mean, nobody gets a lot of games, so I would say it's going to be very small amount because it's beginning of the season. I would say at the most one of them gets 4. So I'll say 2 for Morris, 1 for Jokic. I don't think they get a lot.
Okay.
I'm going 3 for Morris, 1 for Jokic.
Wow. All right. I got 3 for the Joker and 2 for Markieff Morris.
Wow.
Even though I actually do generally agree with you guys where Joker's the MVP, number 1. Number 2, he's vulnerable where he is in the middle of a shot and you're sticking your shoulder into his ribs in a non-basketball play. And therefore you deserved what came to you. Like, you turned around right away. It's not like he did that. Then they were talking and then he turned around and walked away. And then the Joker just started like bull rushed out of nowhere and pushed him. Like, as soon as you hit me with your shoulder in my ribs, like, I pushed you like within seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So By the way, shout out to Jimmy Butler who tried to push the Joker. If you rewatch that scuffle,
Yeah.
He literally did not get any movement on him, which I thought was hilarious.
Also, shout out to Tyler Hero acting fake tough. Come on, guy. You're not that.
I mean,
guy,
like, but
you're not
that
guy.
I mean, I don't think he was acting fake tough though. Like it was very spur of the moment. Like all of a sudden, like he hit him, and then all of a sudden, like Harold turns around and this guy's chucking Marky Force to the floor. Like my first reaction would be like, "Yo," and then be like, "Oh, 1 second." You know what I mean?
He's
like,
got 100 pounds on me. I'm gonna
then-
back off.
But I would also like right away. I don't even care if that was Shaq. If Shaq did that to like my friend, I would immediately be like, "Whoa," and then be like, "All right, like let me just like make sure I'm at a distance."
So then the real question we got then to end this podcast off: who would win in a fight? The Markieff, the Morris brothers, or the Jokic brothers? Who do you got?
Just fist to fist, hand to hand combat, rough and rowdy style.
Hand to hand combat. We're putting it in the ring, man. Actually, we're putting it in the ring. All right. UFC, whatever, MMA. I don't.
It's the Jokic brothers, man. It's not even close. Those guys, dude. The Joker lost the playoff game, and then he went back to his farm in Serbia. You gonna fight that guy?
No.
Like, what do his brothers do?
No.
His brothers don't even play basketball. Like, they have no like desire to be.
Did you see how
Professional.
fast those guys got up in the stands?
But they can't do anything in the stands. What are they gonna do? If they run on the court, they're literally gonna get arrested. So they can't do
I
anything.
know,
That's
but still,
fake
like
tough.
they're
Talk about fake
that-
tough. Fake tough
but-
is standing in the stands as a fan and starting yelling stuff in Serbian. Come on. Well, they're not going to do anything. If they step foot
No.
on the court, they're literally going to prison, going to jail.
I just know that they're ready. I know they're ready to
Yeah.
protect their brother, man. You know how it is.
Yeah, I mean, if Jimmy Butler really wants to fight outside, then he's dumb because then the Joker brothers are going. He wants to
Come
fight
on,
on the
dude.
court. I would think he could afford a suspension. But you know what? I'm really looking forward to Nuggets Heat. I'm a little worried that this is going to light a fire under the Heat's butt, no pun intended. And I think that they're gonna do even better than they've been doing. Like now they have a reason to. You know what I mean? Now I think they're going on the road now too. Like honestly, for us as Knicks fans, not great. Not a great look right now. I think the Heat are gonna go streaking for a little bit.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
worried about
I don't
that.
know. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
All
We'll see. I
right.
think they're gonna come
You
back.
guys-
I think they're gonna come back and win. I don't think they're going on a winning streak, but I will definitely say when they come back and see the Nuggets, that'll be a good game to watch.
All right. I mean, the Heat are second in the league right now. You guys are telling me watch out for the Bucks.
They won the
The Heat-
championship last year.
Heat are 7-3.
Yeah.
Tell me not to worry
you're-
about the Sixers. Sixers are number one in the league. I'm just saying, you guys aren't. You guys got. I think you guys got to wake up.
I'm just
to
saying
it
they're not gonna go on
because-
a winning streak, bro. They're not gonna go on this crazy winning streak after this. I think they're gonna come back, win the next game. They're gonna forget about it, go back to the regular season
I think they already
programming, and then
You think they forgot about it? They're going. They're literally going to LA.
And then once they
right
see
now.
the Nuggets
You think
again,
they forgot
once
about
they
that?
see the Nuggets, once they
That-
see the Nuggets again,
about
that's
the
when they're gonna come
Nuggets
back.
fight thing. I don't think they care about that. I think they'll remember it again when they play them.
All right.
I think
Bonus.
I think-
bonus question right now. You think? Well, what do you think is gonna happen? Heat versus Lakers tomorrow.
Heat versus Lakers.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
the
Heat
next
will
game.
win. Yeah, I think the Heat will win.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's not.
That's
so
no-
what? LeBron's not playing. It's the Lakers without LeBron.
Yeah, you guys are.
Probably though. Yeah,
What do
they'll
you
probably
want? You
win.
said the Heat. I said the Heat are gonna win. Now, isn't
All
that
right,
what you want to
all
hear?
right, and then they're going to the Clippers and then to the Jazz. I don't know why we're on a tangent, but you guys don't like. They're gonna and then
They're
the
not
Thunder.
gonna. They're. I think both. I think that.
They're gonna beat the Clippers. They might lose to the Jazz
Ah.
and beat the Thunder. That's a nice streak. What are you guys talking about? That's what I don't get.
You're making-
Like,
you're
They're
making
not
the
gonna beat the-
Pelicans-
they're not going to beat the Jazz in Utah.
All right,
Come
and then
on,
they got the
man.
Wizards coming up. I feel like the Heat are barely gonna lose, but whatever. I don't want to get on a tangent. I hate the Heat, so I don't want to talk about that.
This is not a Heat's podcast. Fan side of Minute Media has another
You guys are wild.
podcast to talk about it.
The Jokic brothers would win that fight. Yeah, those guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
They're
called-
throwing
it's-
knives at each other when they were kids. They're nuts. Those guys would win a fight against NBA player brothers. Those guys look like villains in a Jason Bourne movie. That's exactly what I thought of when I first saw those guys. They look like someone that Jason Bourne would fight.
Oh man. Woo. And on
All right,
that
so the
note,
Nuggets
I
game
think-
is 10 games away. The Nuggets game is 10 games away. I think the Heat might win 7 games, another 7 games before they see them. So I'm just saying
all right.
they might be like 14-6 going to see the top of the East, seeing the Denver Nuggets right by Thanksgiving. So it can be a crazy game. Just saying.
And Udonis Haslem comes in for 25
Starter.
seconds.
Starting center, Udonis
my
Haslem
God.
that game. I'm calling it right
so
now.
Lame.
Oh,
He's so
man.
lame, that dude.
Oh,
All right.
man.
And on that note, I think that
On
ends
that
this
note,
tangent-filled Knicks episode where
Thank
somehow we ended up talking
Who would
about
have
the Heat
thought-
schedule.
Who would have thought Udonis Haslem would get a mention?
Yeah, exactly.
we need to get paid by Haslam for this episode. Chip, before we get out of here, please let our listeners know where they can find you, man.
Yes. Thank you again for having me on, guys. I'm on Twitter at Chip Murphy 7. Everything is on there. Couch Critic, Knicks Fan TV, podcast, Knicks State of Mind. Follow me on there.
For sure. Make sure to follow Chip. Chip does some great work. Thank you, Chip, for coming on, and everyone who tuned in for this fun, long Knicks episode. Thank you all. Please make sure to give us a 5-star rating if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts. And if you don't listen to us there, it's okay. Really is okay. We're on Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitch, and you name it. We are there. On top of that, if you're watching this on the YouTube, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that notification bell. It's the polite thing to do. Also, while you're there, we also have another podcast called Winning Picks Weekly. John and our video producer, Greg, give you some rundowns on the NFL slate week to week. Soon to hopefully be starting for NBA. Be on the lookout for that. And certainly, last but not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Did I say that already?
We are there. You forgot that
Yeah.
part. I got you.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll catch you later. Catch you later this week for a Jets preview because our mini bye week's over.
First, the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, man.
Let's
Oh,
go
good
Knicks,
Lord.
baby.